Welcome back. You're watching WION World is One. I'm Shivan Chandna. This is Speed News. Let's begin. Trump says he will know within the first 2 minutes of his meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin on Friday whether a deal can be made on ending the war in Ukraine. Trump also said that he was a little bothered by his Ukrainian counterpart Zelensky's stance, insisting that both Ukraine and Russia would have to give up territory to each other as part of a potential peace agreement, adding that his meeting with Putin would test waters for such a deal. Trump has expressed optimism about potentially normalizing US-Russia trade relations depending on the meeting's outcome. Trump deployed 800 National Guard troops to Washington, D.C. and temporarily took over the city's police department, sparking widespread criticism and protests. Trump claimed the move was necessary to combat a wave of lawlessness, despite statistics showing violent crime has been declining since a surge in 2023. This move is Trump's second deployment of troops to a democratically governed city this summer. Trump hinted that other cities, including Chicago, might face similar measures. China's president and Brazilian president, they discussed strengthening bilateral cooperation in a phone call amid US trade tensions. Xi Jinping told Lula da Silva that the two countries, they could set an example of self-reliance for the global south. They also emphasized the importance of defending multilateralism and opposing unilateralism and protectionism. South Korean President Lee Jae-myung will meet US President Donald Trump on the 25th of this month in Washington to discuss strengthening their bilateral alliance and economic security partnership. The summit follows a recent trade deal where the US agreed to reduce tariffs on South Korean goods from 25% to 15%, with South Korea committing to invest $350 billion in the US and purchase $100 billion worth of US energy. The two leaders will focus on developing their partnership into a future-oriented, comprehensive strategic alliance to address changing international security and economic environments. International condemnation grows over Israel's latest offensive in the Gaza Strip as Netanyahu pushes to seize control over Gaza City. On Tuesday, desperate scenes unfolded in Gaza City after an Israeli strike killed 12 people from an extended family in Zaytun neighborhood, including a mother and her 3 children. In another airstrike, authorities at Al-Shifa hospital said that a tent sheltering a displaced family was targeted, killing a couple and their child. Mourners gathered in Gaza City for the funeral of 5 Al Jazeera staff members who were killed in an overnight Israeli strike on Sunday. People stood in the courtyard of the Al-Shifa hospital to mourn the deaths of 28-year-old Al Jazeera correspondent Anas Al-Sharif and 4 of his colleagues. Israeli military claimed Anas al-Sharif was a member of Hamas military wing and was involved in launching rockets on Israel. Al Jazeera vehemently rejected this assertion, describing him as one of Gaza's bravest journalists. Colombian senator and presidential hopeful Miguel Uribe has died 2 months after he was shot in the head in a targeted attack. Uribe was hit by 3 bullets, 2 of them in the head and 1 in the leg at a campaign rally on the 7th of June in the capital, Bogota. Authorities have arrested 6 people in connection with the assassination, including 2 men who allegedly planned the attack in Medellin. A farewell ceremony was held at the Colombian Congress, where his casket, draped with the Colombian flag and surrounded by white flowers, was placed in the elliptical hall. Mourners, including Uribe's wife, Claudia Tarazona, father and stepdaughters, paid their respects, embracing and crying beside the coffin. The attack was the deadliest act of political violence in the country in nearly 2 decades.
Le rindamos tributo a su vida.
Y los colombianos nos encontramos de luto.
A Chinese Navy ship and a China Coast Guard vessel collided near the disputed Scarborough Shoal while pursuing a Philippine patrol vessel. Video released by the Philippine Coast Guard showed the China Coast Guard ship making a sharp turn across the bow of Chinese PLA Navy ship, resulting in an impact that damaged both the vessels. The collision occurred as the Chinese ships tried to block the Philippine vessel BRP Sulwan, which was escorting boats delivering aid to Filipino fishermen. Niger's ruling military junta has announced that it is nationalizing a unit of French uranium company Orano, the latest step in a deepening rift between Paris and Niamey. Orano had already lost operational control of its Niger-based subsidiary Somer last year. Uranium mining in Niger is at the center of a standoff between the junta and that took power in 2023 and Orano, which is 90% owned by the French government and has operated mines in Niger for decades. Orano officially retains a 60% stake in the subsidiaries and has undertaken various arbitration procedures to try to win back operational control. Pakistan has urged India to resume normal functioning of the Indus Waters Treaty, which India suspended in the month of May after the Pahalgam terror attack. Pakistan says that it is committed to full implementation of the 1960 treaty. The appeal follows a landmark ruling by the Court of Arbitration on the 8th of August interpreting key provisions of the 1960 agreement in Islamabad's favour. The death toll in the massive explosion at the US Steel Clairton Coke Works plant in Pennsylvania has risen to 2 and at least 10 people have been injured. Rescue operations are underway with several feared trapped under the debris. The crews could be seen battling flames as heavy smoke rose from the facility. Injured employees were transported to local hospitals for treatment and search and rescue efforts are underway at the plant. Residents of Mirash, a village in southeastern Kosovo, battled a wildfire on the 10th of August using water and basic tools to prevent the flames from engulfing hundreds of homes. Drone footage showed the fire spreading across a large portion of the mountain with thick smoke billowing behind houses in the village. Nepal has opened nearly 100 peaks in its remote western region for free climbing to boost mountain tourism. In a bid to attract climbers to less visited areas, the Himalayan nation's government has waived the royalty for 97 peaks in Karnali and Sudur Paschim provinces for the next 2 years. And these mountains ranging from 6,000 meters to over 7,000 meters in altitude are expected to draw tourists to areas with limited economic activity. The government has also proposed making it mandatory for climbers attempting Mount Everest to first scale at least one 7,000 meter peak. The proposal, part of an amendment to the Tourism Act, has been sent to the upper house for consideration and will require approval from both houses before becoming law. Heavy rains have caused chaos in southern Japan, particularly on the island of Kyushu, where torrential downpours have triggered widespread flooding and mudslides. The Japan Meteorological Agency has issued its highest level warning for Kumamoto Prefecture, with rainfall exceeding 40 centimeters in 24 hours. Tens of thousands of people have been urged to evacuate their homes across Kumamoto and 6 surrounding prefectures. Videos posted online show traffic navigating through floodwaters, submerged streets and homes and businesses at risk. The heavy rain has also hit travel hard, with bullet trains between Kagoshima and Hakata suspended and local lines brought to a halt. Trump has said that he may allow Nvidia to sell a scaled-down version of its next-generation Blackwell AI chip in China. Trump said the version would have 30% to 50% less computing power than the original chip. The move comes despite warnings in Washington that even reduced performance chips, which could help China build frontier-scale AI supercomputers. The US government has also struck a deal to take 15% of revenue from sales of some Nvidia and AMD chips to China. Musk's Grok AI chatbot is at the center of controversy once again, as its X account was briefly suspended by the company itself on Monday. A notice had appeared on the Grok X profile stating X suspends accounts which violate the X rules. The account went offline for around 15 to 20 minutes, but this time with just a blue check mark instead of a golden one that suggested affiliation with XAI. In due time, the golden check mark and affiliation tag with XAI also returned as users flagged the issue to Musk on X. Grok itself claimed that it was suspended for stating that Israel and the US are committing genocide in Gaza, citing sources like the ICJ, UN experts, Amnesty International and B'Tselem. Elon Musk reacted to this incident on X, calling the incident a dumb mistake and lamenting, "We sure shoot ourselves in the foot a lot." US Department of Justice has seized $1 million in bitcoins from a Russian ransomware gang behind the Black Slit and Royal malware. At least 4 servers and 9 domains were also seized last month. The action was taken in coordination with law enforcement authorities from the US, Canada, Germany, Ireland, France and the UK. US officials say Black Slit and Royal have compromised more than 450 victims across sectors including healthcare, energy and government, earning over $370 million since 2022. Musk's AI firm XAI is set to sue Apple, accusing the tech giant of antitrust violations over App Store rankings. Musk claims that Apple favors OpenAI's ChatGPT, preventing any other AI app, including XAI's Grok, currently ranked 5th, from reaching the top spot. He described the practice as an unequivocal antitrust violation and demanded inclusion of his apps in the App Store's must-have section, despite their popularity. Musk's comments come as regulators and rivals intensify scrutiny of Apple's control over its App Store. In April, a US judge found Apple in violation of a court order to allow more App Store competition and referred it for a criminal contempt probe in Epic Games' case. The US dollar is holding steady as the world waits for important economic data this week. Investors are waiting for reports on US inflation. These reports are a big deal because they could influence the Federal Reserve's next move on interest rates. If inflation is higher than expected, the Fed might be pressured to raise rates, which could likely make the dollar stronger. If inflation is lower than expected, the dollar might lose some of its recent gains. Crude oil prices bounced back after a recent downward trend. After a significant drop last week, the price of a barrel of US oil is now trading around $64 a barrel. The sustained decline is largely a result of easing geopolitical tensions and a general slowdown in global economic growth. An increase in US oil inventories is also adding to the bearish sentiment, with the global economy showing signs of strain. Risk premiums on crude have gone down and weighed on prices. Gold is showing some weakness today after a strong rally in the past week. Other precious metals are outperforming gold today. While gold is still trading at elevated levels, its price is dipping slightly today as the US dollar regains some of its footing. Gold is often seen as a safe haven asset, and its appeal tends to diminish when the dollar is strong or when investors feel more confident about the economy. Experts say the market is now in a wait and watch mode, with traders holding their breath for a key US inflation report that could either spark a new rally in gold or push prices down further. After a very strong weekend, the crypto market is falling slightly as traders take profits. Bitcoin is hovering just below its all-time high after a recent surge, and Ethereum is also pulling back from its own new record. Experts say that this is the classic consolidation phase where the market digests recent gains before making its next move. Despite the small pullback, the overall mood remains optimistic, with a lot of positive news in the background, including growing institutional interest. However, the market is on high alert for the upcoming US inflation data, which could cause a fresh wave of volatility.